Arizona basketball gets a huge win against Baylor and probably gets itself back to the 3 line. Could there be a potential to move up even more?
You are Locked On Wildcats, your daily podcast on the Arizona Wildcats. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for keeping it Locked On Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. Locked On, your team every day. Okay, Arizona basketball gets a huge win against the Baylor Bears. Arizona went in as a little bit of an underdog. I was kind of surprised by that, to be honest with you. I did not see that because honestly, if you watch those games, if you watch Arizona twice this year against Baylor, it has not been a good. Matchup for Baylor. Arizona's clearly better than Baylor. That's the best way I could put it. But the thing that we got to talk about first is Tommy Lloyd has finally done it. Trey Townsend is out of the starting lineup, and now you have Henry Vasar in there. Now, here's where I'm at with this. I do understand the part two where, somebody says, well, at the same time, it only matters who finishes. Yes, but there's a reason you don't start your 8th best player. People don't do it. There's no reason to do it, nor should Arizona do it. Vasar is what you need in a game like this because Vasar can rebound, he can block shots, he can shoot the 3, he can do just a lot of different things that, quite frankly, Trey Townsend just can't do. Townsend is fine for 12 to 15 minutes per game, but that has to be the absolute maximum as he doesn't rebound. He doesn't really do anything out there. And again, not rebounding is just kind of something that if I'm going to have him out there, he's going to have to do. Now, I will say that there's going to be some interesting things that will play out, though, with this squad as far as some of the other rotation. You've also got Tommy Lloyd. I love what he did with Carter Bryant in this game, and that he set Carter Bryant, and he had Carter Bryant basically play his minutes at the 3 when Trey Townsend was in. You've got to do that because, again, Trey can't rebound, and Carter Bryant can bring you some of that length, some of that, and provide you some of that 3-point specialist as well. But he is overall, though, this is a guy in Bryant that he can really help your team out. Now, as far as what this win means, though, that's something that I really want to talk about because now Arizona is 12-3 in the conference, and in the Big 12, if I were to tell you before the season that Arizona was going to be 12-3 in conference, that would be I think everybody would take that. And when I say everybody would take that, I mean everybody because again, this is big time basketball here, and these are tough environments. This is what I like so much about being in this conference because at the end of the day, it didn't really matter if you lost a game against Stanford or Cal or whatever the heck may be because those are just hard games to get up for. If you just if you don't get up for a game here, you will be embarrassed, and that is something that Arizona just can't afford to have happen. And Baylor all these games have an NCAA tournament type feel to it. Whereas if you lost a game, then you're like, all right, well, we got 4 games now against Washington State, Cal, Stanford. Against Baylor, you're going against a top 5 pick. You have a rocking environment, and they almost got back and they almost won the game. But Arizona was able to stop them in their tracks, and I think that's something that you got to say that's some pretty good stuff if you're Arizona because in the past I don't know that this would have happened, but you're always getting tested like this. There aren't the off games, and that's why this to me is such a statement win and being 12-3 in the conference. Now listen, Houston's better than Arizona. I don't think that I don't think I'm really breaking any news there, but Arizona also matched them from a physicality perspective, and that's not something that I think that a lot of people thought was going to happen. At least I didn't think it was going to happen. I didn't think that Arizona would be able to match that, but Arizona has been able to do exactly that, and that's been kind of the fun part about all this is that Arizona has risen to the occasion, and a guy that rose to the occasion more so than I think probably anybody has been Tobe Awaka. Tobe Awaka, I think there were questions about how good was Tobe going to be able to be, and those are questions that I didn't really have the answer to. He obviously struggled against Houston, but I think we are kind of at the point with this team that you know that Tobe more or less is going to be good. And when I say he's more or less going to be good, you know that he's going to be good. And that's what Arizona just needs out of him. They need him to get rebounds, get your 13 and 12, whatever the case may be, and just continue to roll. And he's continued to do that. ADO, I got to give ADO a lot of credit. ADO, I thought played a really good game. And I think a lot of times people they kind of miss the boat when it comes to ADO. That yes, ADO is far from perfect. I get all of that, but ADO also is a fairly crafty finisher, and he's a good guy to have on the offensive side of the court because he can finish. He's actually an underrated passer. Tommy Lloyd has mentioned that multiple times that ADO is an underrated, playmaker, and he showed that as well. So all seven of those guys outside of Trey have kind of a role that can be played for with this Arizona team. Now, the man that is basically the lightning rod for everything, and basically good or bad, and much of it is deserved, is Caleb Love. Where is Arizona with Caleb Love, and how is this? How does this look to play out? Because there is something interesting about all of this and about what Caleb Love could mean. But first, TurboTax. TurboTax, TurboTax. It is that time of the year, my friends. TurboTax. This is a message from Intuit TurboTax. Taxes are dealing with piles of paperwork that are frustrating. I don't like doing it. You don't like doing it. And then waiting and wondering and worrying if you were able to get it back. Now, taxes are easily uploaded on TurboTax Expert, an expert who's backed by the latest technology, which checks all data points with 100% accuracy. That's it. Now, this is Taxes Intuit TurboTax. Get an expert now at turbotax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live Full Service. You got to remember that, though. Real-time updates only in iOS mobile app. See guarantee details at TurboTax dash or backscore guarantees. Again, new taxes, and make it easier on yourself. A lot of people go through the tax season and they're like, oh gosh, I don't know, I'm going to go to some random person. Do it with TurboTax. There's a reason that everybody's using it, and there's a reason that it is just getting bigger and bigger. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. Locked on, your team every day. All right, now let's talk a little bit then about Caleb Love. Caleb Love, I think we know at this point, Caleb Love is not a great shooter, nor is Caleb Love ever going to be a great shooter. That's again, not breaking any news. But what I do like that Caleb Love is doing is that Caleb Love is getting after it and attacking the basket. Caleb Love, and we've said this for 2 years now, or a year and a half. Caleb Love has the ability to be able to get to the hoop and to be able to finish. And he can finish in a variety of different ways. He can finish with the power layup. He can finish with English. He can also finish with a an ability that is unique that he can alter it in air. You got the left-handed finish. You had the hook. You had a bunch of different things that I don't think that a lot of people thought that he had, and he's shown that. What he's got to do, though, is he's got to continue to do even more of that because, again, there's going to be a lot of games where that shot just isn't falling, and he's got to be able to know when that is, and he's got to be able to take advantage of that because he is a very, very difficult person to guard one-on-one, and when he realizes that, that's when he's really playing into his advantage. So that's been a fun part to watch about Caleb Love and the development of Caleb Love defensively as well. But we got to be honest here. From a 3-point shooting perspective, it's been bad, and the shooting has been much worse than it was last year. But I think Arizona is also, in the good way about it is Arizona is also finding out ways to win without Caleb playing great basketball, and that's something that it wasn't able to do in years past. It wasn't able to do that last year, and so they're finding out that way. Now, the other thing that I think you're also got to be happy about is that, and this is I thought was one of Tommy Lloyd's biggest mistakes this offseason, was not having a point guard. Conrad Martinez is awesome. He's on the team. I have no problem giving him a scholarship, but he's a charity scholarship. He's never going to actually play against good teams because if he would have played in some of these games. He is not good enough out there, and I think that to me is still kind of the head scratcher as to why he got one. And it's not even so much that he got one; it's why you didn't have another ball handler in there. But Conrad Martinez certainly, obviously, isn't ready for that. But Arizona was able to get by with KJ Lewis, with Caleb Love, and Carter Bryant helping out a little bit. But the team obviously needs Jaden Bradley to stay healthy. If Jaden Bradley stays healthy, then this team can be in. I think this team can be very good. But you need Jaden Bradley to stay healthy. Um, he's got to be, he's got to be in there and he's got to stay out of foul trouble. One thing this team does do a ton of is they hack. This is definitely a team filled with hackers, and that's going to be it's going to be an issue pretty much all season. I think. I wish Arizona could kind of figure that one out, but it is what it is at that point. But now let's talk about what does 12-3 mean for seedings, because that is going to be a big part of this. You want to avoid the 4 seed for some very obvious reasons. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right. Like we talked about, there's certain teams that Arizona just doesn't match up well with. Duke is one of those teams. Auburn is one of those teams. This year, there's a big difference to me in what's a 1 seed and what's a 2 seed. Those two teams, I want nothing to do with. If Arizona ends up playing, say Duke or excuse me, Tennessee or a school like that, cool. I'll live with it. I'll take my chances. But I want to avoid the really, really good ones as long as possible, and I think that I think there's a realistic hope that that can be the case. This Arizona team, though, this team is built to. I think this team is built to win in March. In that it's not a front running team. It's not a team that they've got to be hot to get going. It's a team that they can grind you down. They can play that way, or they can get up and down. They can win in a variety of different ways. And that's something that Tommy Lloyd's teams, I don't know, have been able to do in the past. As a matter of fact, I know they haven't been able to do in the past. And that's what's made this squad a little bit more unique. So obviously that's an impressive part. That's an impressive part about all of this. I do think though that there's certain things Arizona's got to make its free throws towards the end. Arizona the last couple games has let teams back in with its free throws, and that is something that you can't have. That is something that you can't have happen. And we've I think that that's just something that can't happen. You got to be able to make those. But they've been able to find ways to win, or at least they've found ways. They found ways to be able to make this happen. But you're now 12-3 in conference. You got BYU, you got Utah, and then you go obviously to Iowa State. Those are going to be big. Those are going to be big ones. And then you got ASU and you got Kansas. Arizona, worst case scenario, I think should be 15-5 in the Big 12. Best case scenario, they should be 16-4. And if you're 16-4, I think bare minimum you're a 3 seed in the conference. And if you're 15-5, I still kind of think that you're in that realm as well. You're somewhere in that you're in that 3 seed, and that's what you want to do. You want to be in that 3 seed realm, and Arizona's played themselves into that position. So we'll see what happens. Now. Going forward, though, I think you got to feel a lot better about Arizona actually starting its best players. That's a big part in all of this. Arizona starting its best players, and Arizona deciding that there's going to be bit minutes for Trey. But if you really want to maximize this team, he's got to be more in that 12 to 15 minute range, not in which he is, and that's fine. Not in that 25, 26-minute range. He just can't do that. Now, and well, so we'll find out though. But Arizona, I think you're looking pretty good right now, and they made plays down the stretch. You had some different guys step up, and one thing too, KJ Lewis, while not a great ball handler, I thought did a admirable job in that backup point guard role. And Arizona's going to probably need more of that because there's probably going to be a game this year where Jaden Bradley gets into foul trouble. He can't get into foul trouble, but if he does get into foul trouble, they're going to be able to at least take care of that to a certain degree. Okay. Very, very much appreciate you all making Locked On Wildcats your first listen of the day. We're going to be back with you then. We're going to start breaking down BYU, Utah, what Arizona needs to do to be able to secure those victories, and for Arizona to be able to get that coveted 3 seed that we've been all talking about. Locked On Wildcats, your team every day.